Hey there, I'm Ian and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to give you a few tips and advice on how to find the perfect ESL teaching job in China. Before we get into this video, I'd like to take a brief moment to introduce myself. I'm 30 years old and for the last 5 years, I've been living and working as an English teacher in Zibo City, Shandong province of China. Many of you watching this video will have a desire to work abroad. Now, ESL teaching in China is a perfect way to do that. Whether it's a gap year where you want to travel and earn money at the same time, or have a stable job where you can develop and grow your career. The most important step to making a reality of your vision is to find the perfect job from the start. Now, what is the perfect ESL job? In my personal opinion, the perfect ESL job is a place where you'll have stability, you'll be happy to go to work every day, you'll be respected and valued. Now let's start by looking at the different points we'll be covering in this video. Now all of these points will come together to hopefully help you land the perfect ESL job here in China. Now the first point, why is it important to find the perfect ESL job from the start? We need to understand that working in China is not the same as working abroad. In your home country, if you're not satisfied with your working conditions or if you're not happy with your employer, it's relatively easy to change jobs. Whereas here in China, you'll have to go through the whole process of getting your release letters. Now that's a letter stating your work permit has been cancelled and a letter of recommendation. A lot of people have difficulties getting these letters from employers. Going through legal channels to get these letters is not always the easiest thing to do. Now, if you do not get these letters, you'll have to leave the country and start the process from scratch. Now, as you can imagine, this will waste a lot of time and it will be very expensive. Now, on to the second point. You need to have a clear understanding of your goals. Before you start hunting for ESL jobs here in China, it's very important to sit down and figure out what your goals are. Why do you want to come to China and what do you want to achieve? Now this can save you a lot of time and it can put you in the best position to find the perfect job to help you reach those goals. It's also very important to understand that your goals can change once you arrive here, as China will change you as a person. It will help you grow and develop. For example, when I came here the first time, I planned on staying for 1 year and then heading home. 5 years later, I'm still here with a different set of goals and a different vision. The third point is common mistakes people make. This list is based on personal experience and years of speaking to people in this industry. Number 1, chasing the highest salary. Now, it's human nature for us to try to get as much as we can out of whatever it is that we do. But you have to take into consideration long versus short-term gain. Now, there are many more important elements to take into consideration before looking at salary. We will cover this in a little bit, so keep watching. Number 2, chasing the big city life. Now, even though cities like Shanghai or Beijing could be very appealing to a new teacher in China, but we have to remember with bigger cities usually comes a higher cost of living. Anything from apartment rent, your social life, even your commute to work and back could be a lot more expensive or complicated. The third point is blind trust. Now you have to remember a lot of schools and agents out there would say whatever they can just to bring you out here. Once you arrive, you realize the picture that they painted is far from reality. I've heard stories of agents leaving teachers stuck, taking a big part of their salary at the end of the month and leaving them with very little. Another mistake is asking to speak to a teacher currently employed at the school. Now you have to remember that different people have different agendas. A school will never have you speak to a teacher that's not fully on board and on their side. Number 4, being overeager. Never just accept the first offer you get. It's always wise to do some job hunting and weigh in all the pros and cons. I want to take a quick break and remind you guys, if you want to see more content like this, please subscribe to my channel and like this video. To talk to a teacher at Ketton's Education Group, please find the link in the description. Now that you have your goals and a clear understanding of the common mistakes that people make, let's move on to the next important point: preparing yourself. Being prepared will save you a lot of time and effort once you start the process of finding a job. Here is a list of things that I suggest you do. The first point is to prepare a resume. Now, a lot of people have this misconception that your resume or CV has to be as thick as the dictionary to impress employers. My personal opinion, a resume 1 or 2 pages long listing your personal information, your qualifications, experience, and your skills would be more than enough. I would also recommend adding a small passport style photo to your resume. The next point is preparing an introduction video. Now, this is going to be probably the most awkward part of preparing yourself if you've never done anything like this before. Now, it's going to be exactly like what you're seeing right now, your face being the main point of the video. You'll have to speak clearly but not too slow. List relevant information, introduce yourself, your name, your age, experience, skills. Give people a glimpse of your personality, but don't make it too long. I've seen videos of people that did a vlog style introduction video, and basically what employers want to see is they just want to hear your pronunciation. They want to see if you can actually speak English. You need to also consider your appearance. Now, there's no need to dress up in a blazer and a tie and look, to wear formal attire. You can be casual, but avoid wearing like tank tops, the wife beater. Potential employers will be looking at this just to make sure that you'll be able to maintain a decent appearance in your place of employment. You'll be working with parents, with clients, and with kids at the end of the day. The next step is downloading WeChat. Now, WeChat is an app that people use in China to communicate. It's like a mini Facebook almost. You can do video calls, obviously chats, you can share media, you can share your documentation. Now, if you're going to talk to an employer, a potential employer, 99% of the time they'll ask you to get WeChat. So get WeChat and save yourself the time. Now, WeChat might ask you to verify or get another user to verify your account. Now, this might be a bit tricky. It's easy to do. Get on Facebook, find some groups wherever you're from. For example, I'm South African. There are groups like South Africans in China. You can go on there, post the QR code you'll get, and ask people to help verify your account. If you can't manage to get this done, comment below, add me on Facebook. I'll be more than happy to help you out. Now that you've prepared yourself, the next step, and this is the exciting part, is finding job offers. So, where to look? Now, looking for jobs could be very exciting, but it can also be very tricky and dangerous. I mentioned before, a lot of rogue agents and schools would just say anything to get you to come to their school and to work for them. This doesn't mean all agents are bad, but the very good agents are few and far between, so be careful. Now, how I found my job in China the first time I came out was through Dave's ESL Cafe. Now, this is a website where you can upload your CV and a description of the type of job that you want, or you can look at employers advertising positions available. Next point is Facebook. Now, this is a bit more tricky as it's a breeding ground for these agents that I keep talking about. You can search for TEFL, TEFL, or ESL jobs in China. You'll get many groups. You go on there, you can say, well, my name is so-and-so, I'm looking for a job in China. Now, you have to be careful with this. Like I say, you'll be contacted by many people. Just a tip, I don't know if you know about this, but if somebody on Facebook sends you a message and they're not on your friends list, if you open the message tab on Facebook, you'll get 2 options. There is an option for message requests and filtered messages. Now, these won't show unless you go click on those links. So a lot of people will message you with job offers and you won't see them unless you go to those links, so keep that in mind. Now, the third point is you can contact schools directly. You can do a simple Google or Bing search for a database of schools in China, and you can email them directly. Now, the risk of doing this is a lot of schools probably won't see this, won't reply, or will limit yourself in the options of opportunities out there. Now it's time to look at probably the most important point in finding the perfect ESL job in China. This is where having a clear understanding of your goals and your vision is key. What to look at? By this point, you'll have a few offers that you'll be able to look at and consider. Now, as I said before, don't make the mistake of going for the one with the highest salary. There's no use going for a job with the highest salary if you arrive here and you end up not getting that salary or you're unhappy in your job. The first thing to look at will be obviously the schools. Now, let's say you have 5 different job offers. The best thing to do is to take the first offer, the school name, location, and the keyword review, put that into a Google search and see what you get. Now, a very good site to look at will be Glassdoor. There you can get independent reviews from people that work there, people currently working there, and you can weigh in. Is it a good place to work? What are the chances of them breaking your contract, etc. The next thing to look at is the location, the city you'll be living in. Now remember, a lot of schools will be asking you for 2-year contracts. Now you have to look at the location and think to yourself, will this be a place I'll be able to live for a year or 2 years? Now, again, very important, it's easy to live in Shanghai, it's easy to live in Beijing. It's not so easy to live in a smaller city, but in smaller cities, your opportunities for development and growth will be much higher, as well as your cost of living will be a lot lower. Finally, your salary and benefits. Now you can look at your location, potential opportunities, cost of living, and you can weigh that up with your salary and your benefits and see which offer is the best, bearing in mind all the points I've mentioned before. Now you've taken your 5 job offers and using the points I've mentioned above, you've narrowed them down to 2. Now it's time to compare the contracts of your 2 job offers. Here are some of the finer points to look at. The first point being working hours. Now this is basically divided into 2 categories. The first one being teaching hours. Now for a training center, I'd say anything from about 20 to 30 hours is standard. The next one is office hours. Now these hours would be used for you to plan for your lessons, communicate with other members of staff, and workshop. I'd say about anything from 5 to 10 hours is pretty normal. The next point, overtime. Now this is where you have to be very careful. If your overtime rate is very low in your contract, this just opens you up to be abused, to be worked into the ground, given extra shifts, extra hours, and the school knows they won't have to pay you extra for it. Now, this comes into play, especially training centers, right before the Spring Festival and the summer holiday, where you'll be doing holiday classes, usually phonics. This is where you'll be making the bulk of your overtime. So if your overtime is anything less than about 150 RMB, then it's really not worth it. Next up is medical cover. Now, by law in China, all employees should have a basic level of medical cover. This includes stuff like accidents, for example, so make sure that is in your contract. Next point is vacation days. Now, I've seen a lot of contracts from friends, they've asked me to review contracts, and a lot of employers are very vague on this. And my contract, for example, states that over Spring Festival, the winter holidays, I get between 2 to 3 weeks, and in summer holidays, I get 3 weeks. Now, this is dependent on the government issued holidays, but it should be clearly outlined in your contract. To give you an example of this, if a contract says you'll get the standard amount of summer holiday days, well, what is the standard amount of holiday days? Especially if you're working at a training center, it needs to be specified. Be careful of this. The last point is your responsibilities. You need to make sure that you understand what the company expects of you, and you need to be honest with yourself, look at that and ask yourself, am I comfortable with these responsibilities, with these expectations? So just to wrap up the contracts, a thing that I forgot to mention before is if you get a one-page contract, that is not what you go by. You have to ask the company for a list of terms and conditions of employment. A one-page contract will never ever give you the information that you need. The terms and conditions are usually a multi-page document which will outline the terms and conditions of employment. Make sure you ask for that. That's it for the contract part of this video. If you'd like to see a more in-depth video about contracts, please leave a comment below and I'll be sure to do one. Now, this is the last step of your process: accepting a job offer. The first thing the future employer will ask you to do is sign a letter of intent. This basically means that they are about to start your visa process and they just want you to sign an agreement that say that you commit to this company. After signing the letter of intent, they will send you the documentation to start your visa process in your home country. And then the last point is agreeing to a date of arrival. Now this is where you have to be very careful. A lot of employers will expect you to be there as soon as possible, but make sure to inform them ahead of time that there are things you need to wrap up. For example, if you're currently working in your home country, you'll need to give enough notice to your employer. Now, why this is important is if the China experience doesn't work out for you and you want to go back to your home country, your hometown, and you want to continue employment, you don't want to burn any bridges. And the second part is that leave yourself enough time to wrap up all the details in your life. Make sure you have enough time to be comfortable so when you come to China it's stress-free and you have nothing to worry about back home. That's it for this video on basic tips on how to land the perfect ESL job from the start. Now remember to like this video and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. If you have any questions or anything you'd like to add, please leave it in the comments below. So, from myself and everybody at Ketan's Education Group, see you next time.